Good morning, welcome back to my kitchen. This morning I'm going to be tackling pastry. And by pastry, I mean pie dough. So in this bowl I've got about 5.5 cups of sifted flour, or maybe it's not sifted at all, and about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So I'm going to take a fork, I'm going to mix that all up. And in this container, I have got about equal parts ice and water, and it comes up to about 2 cups. And I've had that sitting in there for about, the ice sitting in there for about 15 minutes. So the ice is melting a little bit. But that's okay, the water is really cold. So we've got some nice ice water, and we probably won't use all that. And I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna run it through a strainer, so we don't get the ice in with our flour. And then I've also got this lard, right? So this is beautiful animal fat, and I'm going to use the pound of lard. So yeah, this is definitely not for vegans. Sorry.
Or anyone who's particularly health conscious.
But man, does it make a nice pie. So very few things go into pie crust. And I'm not a fancy pastry maker by any shot. I just make what works for me. So in goes a pound of lard. You can either use one of these implements, this is a pastry cutter, or for many years I never had one, so I always use 2 knives, and so that's what I'm used to using. So you just cut the lard up with your 2 knives. You make crisscrossing motions into your lard, and you cut it into the flour. So the pastry that I'm making today will be used for our Christmas pies here. And I plan on making a black bottom pecan pie. I plan on making a strawberry rhubarb pie and an apple pie. Strawberry rhubarb, I don't grow my own rhubarb.
Not for years now.
And I definitely don't grow my own strawberries.
Never did.
And I don't think I even picked any this summer. So I have canned strawberry rhubarb pie filling, which is absolutely fine. The black bottom pecan I will make from scratch. And what was the other one?
Black bottom pecan apple, maybe?
Oh yes, and the apple. The apple, I was able to go to the orchard this fall, and Mr. Adams and I picked apples, and I'm gonna come over here for a minute. I'll show you that I made apple pie filling and froze it, and yesterday I took it the filling out of the freezer, and I have let it thaw, and that's what I'm going to use to make my apple pies. So this isn't quite beat up enough. You want those chunks of lard to be about the size of peas. So we've got a little bit more chopping up to do. That's kind of what you're doing, is chopping it up into the flour. Now there is a recipe on the lard container that calls for an egg and vinegar, and I used to use it, no problem with it. I don't know, some days you don't have an egg, some days you don't have vinegar. So I've just used ice water for probably the last 15 years or so. Anyway. So that looks pretty good to me. It's mostly about the size of peas. There are a few larger chunks, and that's okay. So the next thing we're going to do is add our ice water to it. How much? I don't know. I'm just going. I've got 2 cups here. We'll see how it goes. So I'll add a bit, and then I'll stop. And then I always take a fork. Now, pastry is not the same as bread dough. If you were making bread dough, you'd want to knead it. Now, pastry, you want to have a light hand with that. So you're just kind of in a gentle hand, mixing it in lightly. Oh. See, that's a hand cramp.
Ooh.
My hand is stuck in that position. Oh, that's nasty. Need a little bit more water, I'd say. How it's looking? Just a light hand. I'm pretty happy with how that's coming together. And I think I'm going to stop there. All right. So it's not all mixed in, but I'll mix it a little bit more in when I put it down on my surface to roll it out. So I'm going to put a little flour down on the surface and some on my rolling pin. And if you were going to do this professionally, or probably a more correct way to do it is to divide these into balls and wrap it up really well and put it in the refrigerator and let it chill down. That's really the appropriate way of doing it. And I usually don't have time to do it that way. And most people don't. Okay, so I've just got it into a little ball here, and I'm just applying gentle pressure to bring it together. Put it down, a little flour on the top. Some away. Now, start in the middle, and this rolling pin is really heavy, so you don't have to push much, but push out, go back to the middle, and push in. Okay. And give it a twist. Do the same. Start in the middle and then go back. Just a gentle touch. And this rolling pin is quite heavy, so it does the work for you. Do some diagonal. I do have a map that I could use that shows the size of the pie, and I just never think to haul it out and use it because it's just one more thing to do. And I'm a bit lazy, so I'm gonna lift that up and just make sure nothing is sticking under there. Put a little bit more flour, a little bit more flour. You want a light touch because the more flour you get worked into this, the tougher your crust will be. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I can see where there's bits of the lard in there. And that's what makes your crust nice and flaky, is when you have the bits of the lard in there that you can see. So I'm just trying to get a nice circular shape. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, now to get it into my pie pan, what you do, take it to the edge, roll it up a little bit, roll it, roll it, roll it, and lift. Voila. And that is how you make a pie crust. So what I would do here, I will just pinch that a little bit.
Pinch it all up.
Now, okay, so that's going to be the base of one of my crusts. And the pies that I'm making today, 2 of them will have tops, and one of them will be an open shell. Anyway, thanks. Have a great day. Okay, so I put my thawed apple pie filling in my pastry shell. And there's my canned strawberry rhubarb. A little disappointed with that because it only comes up halfway, but that's okay.
It's gonna be smaller than usual.
Yeah, just gonna be a little smaller. And so I've got another bunch of pastry rolled out here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do that, and maybe we'll do the small one first. That's okay. So I just bring it over. Now, a sharp knife. Yep, that'll work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a bit of the pastry. I still want a bit of an overhang, but I don't need a huge amount. What's that, like 1/4 of an inch, I'd say? And I would be comfortable using these bits of pastry one time over again. A nice thing to do would be to put them in a tart gel and make some tarts. Butter tarts are my personal favorite. But you can put them in a tart gel, roll them up and put them in a tart gel, put a little jam in them, pop them in the oven, tarts. Or, Christmas is coming, make a savory filling, cream cheese and some crab meat or something, and some herbs, and you've got a nice appetizer. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the top crust and I'm tucking it under. Tuck. And I'm tucking it. Just tucking it, kind of rolling it around and tucking it under. next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little pinch. And, okay, so what I'm doing is I'm pinching it. I'm holding my finger like this. I'm pinching it with this left hand, and I'm twisting with my right hand. So pinch and twist. Pinch and twist. Pinch and twist. Pinch and twist. So I'm pushing, and I'm pinching there, and twisting. You don't have to do it this way. This just does, makes a nice presentation, and it closes that up a bit, closes the top and the bottom shells up together. Don't know what that's going to look like when it's done because it's a bit open there, but we'll pinch it. Now, the other thing you need to do before you bake it is give it some vents, some ways for steam to escape.
Because you don't want the pie to pop.
We don't want the pie to pop. And seeing as it's Christmas,
Snowflake pattern.
well, snowflake, Bethlehem
Star.
star. Hello! There. Now, before I bake this, I would put this definitely, well, not so much this one because it really doesn't have a juicy filling in it. But when I bake my pies, I put them on a baking sheet and then I put them in the oven. So that's that one. I'm going to do the same thing with this apple. And when I do that, for sure, because it's a fair bit more juicy.
Stuff.
Yeah, look at the liquid in there. That's definitely going to need to be baked on a cookie sheet because there will be spillover. And I just cleaned my oven this morning, and I would be one cranky lady if I had to clean it again tonight. That's good. All right, so after about an hour, our pies are done. This is my apple, and you usually know that when a pie is done like this, because of the filling is bubbling up around the sides. It's my apple. This is my black bottom pecan, and my strawberry rhubarb. Some people like to do an egg wash on their pie. That's a nice feature. And so the other nice thing, I've never done it myself, is some sugar on the top. And there's probably enough sugar in my pies, but they don't need any of that.
Bingo.
So this black bottom pecan is my favorite, and it's just a pecan pie, but before you put the filling in, you have a layer of chocolate chips on the bottom, and then you add your filling in over top of that. It's like a custard. And they all take about an hour. Anyway, there you have it. There's pie for Christmas dinner, and I think there's going to be 9 of us, as long as things are cool in the province and there's no major outbreak of COVID. There will be 9 of us for dinner. I was thinking about doing a 4th pie, the peanut butter pie, but I'm not sure 9 people really need 4 pies. And 2 of them are children who don't eat pie. So that means 7 adults. Do we really need more than 3 pies?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Stay safe.
Bye.